Welcome to chapter number 4 of this podcast, Barcelona Guide, a podcast created to help you on your visit to Barcelona. I am José Gómez, the founder of Looking Barcelona, a company where I provide tours to discover the city. And today we have a very special chapter. We will talk about La Sagrada Familia. La Sagrada Familia is the most visited site in Spain, and this is a church, a very special church. I organized guided tours to La Sagrada Familia. There are 12 years ago, and I always discover something new. The construction began in 1882, and it was a commission to Gaudi. There was an association called St. Joseph's Friends Association, and they bought the plot with the idea to build a church, and they commissioned the project to Gaudi. Gaudi was dedicated 42 years of his professional life. So Gaudi worked almost all his professional life here. He started working here when he was 31 years of age, and he worked in the project until the last day of his life, because he died. And he combined the work here at La Sagrada Familia with other works. He worked on 5 of 6 different projects at the same time. But La Sagrada Familia was his big project, his dream. Gaudi was a strong Catholic man, and he wanted to build really a special church dedicated to God. So Sagrada Familia is full of symbols and anecdotes. My goal with this podcast is to help you in your visit to La Sagrada Familia. I want to give you my personal look and an introduction to this amazing church. So, okay, we can start. We will start with the Nativity facade located on Carrer Marina. That's Catalan for Marina Street. The Nativity facade refers to the first years of Jesus' life. This is the part of the basilica that Gaudi made during his lifetime. So before entering to the church, I recommend you to go to the garden, which is in front of this facade. The name is Plaza de Gaudi, that means Gaudi Square. From here, we have a very interesting view of the facade. And this is also one of the best places to take a picture as well. So from this garden, it's stunning to see that the facade is darker than the rest of the building. This is because this is the oldest part, and the stone is a sandstone, a local stone, and with time it gets dark with pollution. This sandstone is a stone that was used in Barcelona until the 1960s. It is a stone from the quarry located in Montjuic Hill. Let me talk you about the symbols that you can find from here. Some people on their first visit to La Sagrada Familia have a feeling of disorder, chaos, but everything changed when you have the explanations of the symbols. We realize then that everything has a meaning. From a distance, the facade seems to be a large cave with stalactites. It looks like also so as a sand castle. Yes, this is like if we are playing with sand at the beach. The 4 big towers on the facade are crowned with a multicolored ceramic decoration. The towers symbolize the bishops. If you look you will find the mitre, the episcopal ring. Its tower is like an episcopal stick. Bishops are the people whose mission is to continue the work of Jesus on earth. In the central part of the facade, you can also see a large cypress tree made of stone and ceramic. For Gaudi, cypress tree represents the symbol of eternal life and spirituality. On the cypress tree, there are elegance doves as a symbol of the Holy Spirit. I recommend you look for the reflection on the facade on the lake that you can find on the park, on the garden, to admire the facade for a few moments and to enter in. So you will cross the street again and you will pass the security check and you will arrive right next to the facade. So you will see many statues, many sculptures, Jesus when he was a baby, Mary, Joseph, the shepherds, angels, the history of the King Herod. So the flight to Egypt, Jesus when he was a teenager working in the workshop of his father. Gaudi worked in collaboration with a team of 150 people. There were carpenters, sculptors, architects, and the main sculptor was a man called Mr. Matamala. Mr. Matamala used as model people who work on the site or people who live on this area. For example, there is a statue of a teenage Jesus. So the model was the teenager who was responsible to sweeping during the work, immortalized on the facade. I think that idea is amazing. So on the facade, you will see two large columns, one on each side of the main doors. If you look with more detail, you will see that they are palm trees. Up there, you will see branches. If you look with more detail at the base of each column, there is a turtle. In some cultures, the turtle support all the weight of humanity. So our turtles of La Sagrada Familia are carrying on their back all the weight of the temple. Yes, they are very strong. On the facade, there are statues of plants, animals, birds. The facade depicts the exuberance, life, springtime. This is that Gaudi wanted to depict the beginning of the life, the beginning of Jesus' life. The doors that leads to the inside from the Nativity facade are in bronze, and they are very, very beautiful. So Etsuro Soto is a Japanese sculptor who did these doors. He was born in 1853, and since 1878, he has been working at the Sagrada Familia. Gaudi knew very well that La Sagrada Familia was a very big project, and he said, okay, I will start the work, but this is a work for future generations. Each generation has to leave something, so his trace. So that's why we can see many works by contemporary artists in the temple. So Gaudi left no instructions. He didn't leave anything on how to build these amazing doors. They are an interpretation of the Japanese artist Mr. Etsuro Soto. He's a great admirer of Gaudi's work. The doors reflect the two most important elements for Gaudi: color and nature. On the doors, you can see plants, flowers, and a lot of small animals, ladybugs, butterflies, turtles, spiders, centipede. Children enjoy a lot with these doors. They love to try to recognize all these small animals and touch them. On the doors, there are small round windows. The Catholic tradition says that we lost paradise. For Etsuro Soto, when the doors are closed, we can see the paradise through them. So for the artist, the inside represents the lost paradise. I love these doors. The Japanese artists have understood very well the spirit of La Sagrada Familia. He's very sensitive to nature like Gaudi's. And now we can enter to the inside through these doors. The interior is surprising. It's pure emotion. It has been more than 12 years since I organized guided tours to La Sagrada Familia, and I have seen many people be very moved when they enter. The interior is sober, elegant, and refined. It's different from any other churches that you have visited before. Inside, we can find two elements dear to Gaudi: nature and color. Light from the inside is beautiful. Natural light from the outside is colored by passing through the stained glass windows. These colors vary depending on the time and the season of the year, of course. Gaudi did the basilica from the east to the west, so this is why always inside is very well illuminated, and the sun is always illuminating the church. Stained glass windows is another contribution of a contemporary artist called Mr. Villagrau. If you look at the columns, they are like big trees. You can see the trunk, and in the upper part, branches and leaves. The altar is very special as well. You can see Jesus on the altar, and the position of Jesus is very original. He's depicted with bent legs. The sculptor who made Jesus, he studied the real position of people that were crucified at that time, and it was the real position of people. So, yes, normally Jesus is depicted in other position, but this is the real position. So above Jesus, there is a baldacchino that represents a crown. Hanging in the baldacchino, we also see grapes and wheat. They represent the Eucharisty, bread and wine. On the columns, we can see the 4 evangelists, the 12 apostles, and all dioceses of the world. Located in the upper part, there is the choir. The choir, there is a capacity of 1,000 singers. There were 1,000 singers for the inauguration ceremony in 2010. Currently, there are concerts, but obviously they are smaller because it's difficult to gather 1,000 singers, of course. The acoustics are beautiful. I had the opportunity to attend some concerts, and it was really moving. The inside was completed in 2010. There was a big inauguration. There were 8,000 people, and it was the Pope at that time, Benedict XVI, who held the inauguration ceremony, the King, the President of Spain, and a lot of important personalities of that time. The interior gives the feeling of being very modern. It's amazing to think that Gaudi designed it 90 years ago. He left the models from inside. Gaudi didn't like working with plans. He was a very special architect. He worked with three-dimensional models made by plasta. He left all the temple completed with models. But 10 years after his death, the Spanish Civil War arrived, and Gaudi's workshop was destroyed. Yes, we lost almost all his models, but Gaudi's team had taken pictures of all his models, and today, with all these pictures, we can continue his work. Sagrada Familia is very rich in symbols and details. If you want to visit this church, I recommend you having a guide, a book, an audio guide, or being part of a guided tour. I do private guided tours as well, so I would be delighted to show you the temple. With my explanations, you will enjoy much more of the experience, sure. So we can follow our tour inside. I recommend you behind the altar and look through the big windows. You will see the crypt. A crypt is an underground church. It is a very big crypt, and there are mass every day in the crypt. You will see the altar, and on the left there is a block with white marble with candles. It is Gaudi's tomb. Yes, Gaudi is buried here. And now, if you're ready, we can go outside. for the other entrance, the Passion door, the Passion facade. So Passion facade is one of the three facades of the Basilica. It is very different from the facade of the Nativity. Gaudi said that this facade must depict pain and misery. It talks about the death of Jesus. The facade was started after Gaudi's death, and it is as the architect had imagined, because Gaudi left a design of the facade. The sculptures are by Josep Maria Subirats, a contemporary sculptor who died in 2014. He was very influenced by the Cubism and Picasso, as shown by the style of the sculptures, that they are very, very square, very geometrical. So also there are two large bronze doors, also by the sculptor Subirats. They symbolize an open book, the Bible, that talks about the last 3 days of Jesus' life. On the facade, from the left to the right and up, we can see the cross station, the last 3 days of Jesus. So the last dinner, Judas' kiss, Peter's the nail, Jesus with the cross, Veronic, the Roman centurion who pierces Jesus' side, Jesus on the cross, and Jesus' death. So on the statues, there is a man also, you can see a statue, and a man looking on the right. That's Gaudi. Subirats, Mr. Subirats, the sculptor, wanted to represent the brilliant architect on the facade. We also see that there is a magic square. Why is it magic? Why it's magic? The magic square is a big square made of stone, and inside there are numbers. And why? Yes, why it's magic? Because inside there are numbers, and the addition is always 33. And why 33 is important? Because Jesus was 33 years of age when he died. So there are 3 large pillars on each side of the facade. They symbolize big bones. Gaudi was always inspired by nature, as you know. On the very top part of the facade, between the towers, there is a golden statue. It is Jesus who rises to heaven. Many people tell me that they prefer Nativity facade, the first one. That's true that the Passion facade is very sober, and the statues are very contemporary, very modern. But it was Gaudi's idea. He considered that each generation must leave its mark, and the facade is very contemporary. I think it's a very beautiful work, and it's very expressive. I think it's very interesting work. So, beside the facade, there is a school. Gaudi designed a school for the children of the workers. We said before that there were 150 workers with Gaudi. We can visit this school. There is a capacity of 150 children. Today there is not a school, there is a museum. And you can see that there are 3 classrooms. The school, actually, this is a very small building located outside the church. And you will notice that everything is carved, walls and ceiling. So you can go inside and you will see inside some pictures of children playing and learning. The school worked until 1936. There is a very interesting picture that shows how Gaudi left the work, how he left La Sagrada Familia. And we can see just the Nativity facade, but he did just the Nativity facade. All the rest was done after his death. The current school is a replica. The original was born during the Spanish Civil War, 1936 until 1939. And now you can visit the museum. This is very interesting as well, and it is located in the basement. You can see models, pictures, and an audiovisual document. I love the reproduction of Gaudi's workshop, sober and a little bit messy. Gaudi never married. He did no children, no family. His life was God and his work. During the last 2 years of his life, he lived in la Sagrada Familia. He was obsessed with his work and he decided to move here. You can see a picture of his studio and a little bed where he slept. There is a room where you can see pictures of different houses designed by Gaudi. He was a trendy architect, so he worked for rich families. He designed palaces, churches, factories, schools, and you will notice that all these works are very different from each other. Gaudi has 7 works classified by UNESCO as World Heritage. This is a lot for a single person. I love the model upside down. Actually, it is a reproduction of the building upside down. The model is used to calculate the weight and force vectors. It's unbelievable. There are many threads and lots of small bags. Each thread represents a column, and the bags, the weight to support. It's a great idea. There is a proportion and it works. Gaudi was the first architect to apply this system to calculate the weight of the building. It's the same thing that today do the computers. So you can see also in the museum the workshop where today they do models. The current team, they work with models, but they use 3D printers. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the tour. The end of our chapter. La Sagrada Familia, yes, is the most visited place in Spain and it's worth a visit, believe me. So I wait for you in 2 weeks with other chapter of this Barcelona guide. And please, if you like this podcast, you can share it. Maybe it can help somebody to organize his trip to Barcelona. And don't forget to be happy. Adiós.